Hi, Flosstube. It's Kathy with So-and-So's. It's January something of 2024. Let's see, it's the 23rd, January 23rd, 2024. I'm finally back. I've been thinking about doing a video, and I just want to stitch. I don't want to stop and do a video. So I have several fully finished things to show you, several finishes that aren't fully finished. I have a WIP parade that's gigantic. I have just lots of little things to show you. So I'll get started. Since last time I talked to you, I did finish my shepherd's bush stocking. So there's with the piping and the whole bit. I've got everything on it. That's what the fabric looks like from behind. Got a lot of little charms and buttons and things on it, and it turned out really cute. I really have fun doing these, and they aren't that hard to finish. I have trouble finding the right fabric. It was this pattern, which was Martha, is the one that I did for me. So I got that done. And then I'll put that over there. I also finished the reindeer game ornaments from Brenda Gervais with I needle and thread. And they came with the wooden discs to finish them on. So there's one. Whoops, we'll do them one at a time. One, it's got stuff hanging in front of it. There's one. They're really fun to do. They're cute. This is another one. And this is the third one. And then I just hung this little thread with a jingle bell and a 2023 charm. So they're all done. Ready to go for next year. They're really cute. Actually, I had them hanging on the tree. I finished them before Christmas. Just haven't talked to you since then. Then I finished this little wool, just kind of a little wool candle mat or mug rug, whatever you want to call it. And it is a buttermilk basin, and it's called Old Man, what does it say? Old Man Winter Snow Globe. This is a wooden piece behind it that I don't have. So I might have my husband make something to put it on, but it's kind of cute just this way too. It's just finished in black wool on the back. So I got that made. Put those things out of the way. Then I saw a video, Welcome Stitchery, and they had Becky Nolan there in November. And they had a class, and they did this eyelet sampler needle roll, and then an egg pocket stitching kit. And when I saw those, I thought, oh my word, those are so cute. So I called up Justine, and she had a couple patterns left, and so I made them. She sent them to me, and I made them. This is all eyelet stitches. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see that they're eyelets. The alphabet's all eyelets. The other stitching is cross stitch. But they stitched up so fast, and it was a kit. So the linen, the floss, and the finishing fabric were all included. Inside it has a little pocket and a little piece of flannel for your needles. And it's all hand done. I stitched the whole thing by hand. And she has instructions for doing that. It's really simple, and it came together just perfectly. So I just love that. And then you just roll it up. like this. Whoops, I have my flannel hanging out. And I put a button on there with some ribbon, so you can just tie it somehow. Anyway, you can tie it shut. It's very cute. Comes into a little roll. And this is the egg pocket. Isn't that adorable? It's a pocket, but the top is sewn shut. The only opening is right here. And I imagine if you were gathering eggs, you could actually put them in that hole and they wouldn't fall out. But it's these are cracked open eggs with little chicks coming out. There's a little chick up here and a nest with some eggs. And this was all a kit as well. So it all came with the fabric, and this was all done by hand. And the instructions are great. It wasn't hard at all. In fact, it was easier doing it by hand, I think, than if you tried to do it on a machine, but you could do it on a machine if you have a sewing machine. Anyway, I just love those. I think they're adorable. I just love this fabric with them. So that was fun stuff. Then before the end of the year, that's all my fully finishes. Well, actually this one's all, no, it's not all my fully finishes, sorry. This one is one that I've had done for quite a while. It came out in 2021. It's a shepherd's bush, and it's a free pattern on their website. It says "You Be Well" on it. And I had a little tart tin, so I thought, well, that would be a really cute way to finish it. And I just finished it in the tart tin. So there that is. Got that done. Then I finished, I don't know if you remember my Hatched and Patched project roll. Where did I put the pattern? I don't know where the pattern is. I don't have it right here. Anyway, it does have rickrack in the edges, and it has these little stitched embroidery places on it, and then the rest of it is simply patchwork. And then the other side where you put your, oh, I need to stitch that down. This isn't quite fully finished. This is where you put your projects and then roll them up inside to keep them all clean and pressed. I also had a problem because I had where is that? I had this little doodly to fit the end, only it's too big. I need to cut a circle and cover it with fabric for each end, and this is too big. So I'm going to find something else to do with that. I might just applique it on the inside somewhere. But I do need to put caps on the end of my project roll and figure out a way to close it, keep it closed. But it turned out really cute. And they're so fun and they're so easy. Just little embroidery stitches. And if you remember, this is the bag I made when I went to Utah. And it's a Hatched and Patched pattern. And I used the same fabrics, so they are actually a matching set. And this little bag is very fun. So, I've got that pretty much finished. Then before it was after Christmas, before the first of the year, I pulled out this one, which is Winter in Baltimore by Brenda Gervais. And it finishes in this little box. It's just a little 5-inch box. This is the stitching. And I stitched it on mushroom, 25 count mushroom Lugana over 1, which is what the pattern suggested. And then you line the inside of the box with some red and white ticking, and you put this on the outside. So it will go right around there. And that is really cute. It was fun to stitch. It went really fast, even over one. I love stitching over one on Lugana. I think it's fun. So it comes out really teeny tiny, but your stitches are just perfect because they just are. It's so even and I like it. It's very fun to do. Then what else did I get up to? Oh, on the first of the year. Well, first of all, let me show you my books here. This is what I finished 2023. I always get these cross-stitch journals, and they have 50 projects, 50 pages for projects. So here's the kind of the table of contents. So I filled this one, did 50 projects here, including the dwelling place Therese Koga model that I stitched last year. So I stitched that, and then I had to get another book because I ran out of room. And I finished 14 more before the first of the year. So I did 64 finishes last year. And the only one that's not fully finished is the one I just showed you, the Baltimore, Winter in Baltimore. So as soon as I put this together, that'll make 64 things I did last year and fully finished. Yay, I'm keeping up with my fully finishing until I get to January. So then I started off in January, and since the first of the year, I'm on my fourth thing. The first thing I started as a stitch along with So Cozy Stitching, my friend Nancy, and Jeanette is stitching it, I believe, and 3 or 4, Carol Shockey is stitching it. 3 or 4 other people. We started on the 1st of January, and it's Every Opening Flower by Brenda Gervais. And I just loved stitching it. I couldn't put it down. So I started on the 1st and finished on the 16th. And it turned out so pretty. I used all the called for colors. This is 36 count flannel flower, thread on it, flannel flower, and I just loved it. There are eyelet stitches inside these little borders. You can see them. They were really fun to do. I put my initials in blue so they kind of stood out, but I just love this. And it stitched up so fast. It was very fun. This is the pattern for it. Every Opening Flower, and it came out, it says 2022. I think it was a retreat piece, possibly, and then it was released last year. Then, what else have I done since then? Oh, I did this one. And this one is Miss Snow Fairy, also by Brenda Gervais, a winter piece. And I had this little frame that's perfect for it. I haven't got it laced yet. And I'm going to put a brown antiquing on the frame. But I left off the border from the pattern. You see that little lacy border? I left that off because it didn't fit in here. So anyway, I'm going to lace this and antique it and get that all finished. But it's such a cute little snow fairy. And this is stitched on 36 count vintage wood smoke. And there it is. All done. So I'll get it laced up. Then I stitched, this was something in 2021 when I went to the Farm Girl Gatherings retreat in Amana, and Brenda Gervais was the designer. This was one of the small things she gave us, Pennsylvania Dutch pin keeps. And this is the way I passed my time. And these were based on her collection of show towels. She collects show towels, Pennsylvania Dutch show towels. And there's kind of an amazing story there. Well, let me show you my finish first. I'm going to make these into pillows. And my friend Rachel, I finished these for her, and she had the most amazing fabric that matched perfectly. And she's going to send me some. So I'm going to finish these into little pillows as soon as I get the fabric. But anyway, back to the story. Brenda brought 13 show towels, and show towels are about 18 to 24 inches wide and maybe 4 or 5 feet long. They're long and narrow, and they were made to hang on an inside door in the house. And Brenda gave us the whole history, and if I remember correctly, they were generally stitched by older girls, teenaged girls, that when they went in their hope chest or getting ready for marriage, in their houses, they had a door between the kitchen and the dining room where they ate. And when company came over, they would close the door between the kitchen and the dining room, and they would hang this show towel on the back of the door. And generally the doors were the only painted pieces in the house. So that might be a red door or a blue door. And they would stitch on linen. They would stitch a design like a bunch of these at the top. Most of hers had the designs at the top and kind of coming down into the middle. And then at the bottom, they were either frayed, like with tassels, or they were crocheted, like crocheted lace at the bottom. And they would hang them vertically. Of course, the pictures were going vertically too. Hang them on their doors to decorate their doors and show their stitching prowess. And she had 13 of them at the retreat, and she was giving the history on them, and she had 2 show towels that were stitched by sisters. And so I can't remember their names. I think it was Anne and Elizabeth or something. And their last name, it's spelled E-B-Y, and she was pronouncing it Ebby. And I wasn't paying that much attention. And after we got finished with the presentation, I went up and was looking at the show towels individually, and I said, oh, that says Anne Eby and Elizabeth Eby. And Brenda was standing nearby, and she turned around to me and she said, how do you know that? And I said, because it's my mother's maiden name. Well, she said, do you have relatives in Pennsylvania? And I said, not that I know of, but my mom does keep a lot of genealogy, and when I get home, I'll check it out and see. Well, when I came home, I told Mom about it, and we started looking, and sure enough, the first Eby that came to America settled in Pennsylvania, and those 2 girls were his granddaughters. And so I got out the genealogy, and we're direct descendants straight down from those girls. And so I sent all that information to Brenda, and she was really happy to have the information to go with the show towels. And it was just so amazing that those 2 towels she had were actually from my family many, many generations ago. And originally their name was spelled A-E-B-I or A-E-O-B-I. I can't remember the exact spelling. And it was pronounced Eby. Well, when they came to America, they changed it to E-B-Y because that was easier to spell and pronounce, I guess, Eby. So that was really interesting. It's amazing. It's a small world when you get out and meet a bunch of other people. You actually find all kinds of things that you have in common. It's really, really interesting. So that is my little story about the Dutch show towels, and I had to make those little pin keeps to remind me of that. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, should we go? Oh, I know, I finished this. This is from Not Forgotten Farm, and it's called Carrot Top, and it's the cutest little rabbit in his carrot. It's just adorable. I had to download the pattern, shoom, and stitch him. And I stitched it on natural 25 count Lugana over 1. And I think I'm going to finish it in a carrot shape that'll stand up. So hopefully by next time I'll have that figured out. But he's just really, really cute. Really cute. I like it. I might make a girl one and put a dress on her instead of the pants, and then I'd have 2 that go together. So that was fun to stitch on. Like I say, all I wanted to do is stitch. The next thing I was going to show you are my WIPs. Okay, get ready for this WIP parade, but don't blink. This is my WIP parade. I have one thing. I'm starting on the Prim Stitch series by Lori Holt, and I'm doing it on Prim 25 count Lugana over 1, so it's only going to be like 8 by 11. This is the first one I have going here, and I'm going to put, instead of doing a great big border all the way around, I'm just doing the border that comes on each little piece and just putting them next to each other like 2 stitches apart. So I will have all of them on here when I'm done. And it should fit into like a 9 by, let's see, 8, I might fit in a 9 by 12 frame. I'll just have to see. My husband can make me a frame whatever size I need, so that'll be the best. But there are 12 of them, so I'm going to put all 12 of them on here. That's the full width. It's 3 by 3 when you go over 1. And they're 6 by 6 if you go over 2, obviously. So they'll go 3 across and 4 down. So that was my WIP parade. I'm sorry, I'm being facetious about WIP parades because I just can't have a ton of unfinished projects. It just drives me crazy. So I'm pretty much a monogamous stitcher. I can do several different projects at the same time. Like I have this one going right now too. And it's a hatched and patched. It's called the Giving Tree Skirt. And so you do each one of the little embroideries and then put the tree skirt together. And I need some, let's see, where am I? Right to here. Okay, this one's done. I'm trying out a new technique with this, I don't know what you call it. It's like iron-on interfacing, but you don't iron it on. It's just sticky, and you trace your pattern onto it and stick it on your fabric and stitch it, and then you put it in water and it dissolves. So I'll let you know if I like it or not, because I hope when I put it in water, for one thing, it doesn't make the thread run, the dyes run, and that it all does disappear. I always put SF 101 on the back. I iron that on the back so you can't see any of your threads if you have any threads sticking out. But I have, there's 9 of them all together. I have this one done. I have this one done, which is mistletoe. It says peace. These are candy canes. They're done. And this says celebrate. It's finished. And then these, I need to cut the little wool piece. This is a cat. I did all the stitching. I just haven't cut out the little wool piece that goes on. This one obviously is a heart, and it just needs wool. This one is a house. You can't tell that. There's a house. That's in the doorway is this little tree. And it says home. And then this is a bird that needs some wool. And then I need to stitch. It says joy. And the last one is a present. It says giving, and it needs some wool on the present and the stitching done. So that's fun. I like doing this embroidery. It goes fast. It kind of gives you a break from cross stitch. It goes really fast. Excuse me, my nose itches. In my last video, I had my Tilda Santa that I made, and everyone wanted to know what book it was out of, and it's called this one. It's called this one. It's called Sewing by Heart. I'll show you the picture of, oh, those are stockings. Here's the Santa. And I showed that to you in my December video. It was really fun to make. It is something that you need to take your time. I think I spent about a week, a couple hours a day sewing on it, and did one part at a time because there's a lot to it. It's all pieced, and it has, you have to make the doll, then you make the clothes, but there are some wonderful, wonderful things in here in this book. There's a really cute fox that I want to make. And I have a lot of Tilda fabric. This is a Tilda book. There's some beautiful quilts in here. Her stuff is just amazing to me. There's bee things over here on this page. Little bee skeps. This is just, all her books are full of really, really cute stuff. So that's the book that the Santa's in. I also had a giveaway last time, and I gave away one pattern, but this pattern goes to Jan, I think it's Michaels, I'm not sure. It's I'll just read it to you, MIECHIELS 6926. Jan, if you're watching, you won this pattern from the Heart Needle Art by Wendy, and it's one of her brand new small samplers. So get in touch with me. It's soandsos2022@gmail.com, and get me your address, and I'll get that in the mail to you. So before I forget, I need to hear from Jan. And then I was going to show you, I've been working on my Under the Garden Moon embroidery patterns, and I've almost got them done. I'm down to the last page, except I have one page that I need to finish. Let's see. Let me see what I got going here. Okay. This is kind of the beginning of the book. And this is so fun. This comes out, these came once a month. You'd get the printed linen, this is linen, and a piece of SF 101, and you just sew it together around the outside edge. And then Under the Garden Moon has a tutorial for each month, and she shows you step by step how to do all the stitches. And when you're done, you have this wonderful book. But there's the first page. Then this is the second one. And all the stitches look really complicated and hard, but once you learn how to do them, they're not at all. It's just being consistent with the way the thread goes, the way your needle goes around the thread or under the thread or over the thread or whatever, but it's not hard. They look really complicated, but it's not nearly as hard as it looks. This was a fun one. And you can just make up all kinds of designs with just one stitch, which is really fun. There's that one. This one. These were fun, and they're easy. They're not hard at all. It's just weaving your needle through spokes of a wheel, kind of. That was a really fun page. But it is time consuming because it'll take me like 3 hours to do one side of the page if I sit down and start going on it, it'll take me about 3 hours to finish this half, and then I'll have another 3 hours on the other half. So it is time consuming, but you learn the stitches as you go. There's that one. This one was fun because you cut the thread and poof it up. And these are actually detached little things that you weave with your needle. It's really fun. This one just stands straight out, kind of. Very, very fun. These are fun. This is couching, and that's just laying down a base thread and then tying it down with another thread. And it was easy. It just takes time. And the last page is that one. So I have 2 pages that aren't quite finished. I have this one with bullion stitches, which are very fun to do. Let me move my thread here. They're very fun to do. They just take a lot of time. So I need to finish that page. And the last one I need to finish is this page. And this is all types of couching. Now see, it comes with, if you can see it, there's little dots printed on there. And so that's where you go through the fabric with your needle. So that's what keeps everything looking so nice and neat and consistent. You just follow the dots. I have a piece of thread on it right there. So I just need to finish this other page, and then I'm ready to put my book together. And that's a process all in itself. There's a label for it that I need to stitch for the back, and then there's the cover, and then you put the whole book together and you bead the edges of the cover all the way around, so it comes out pretty thick, and it's fabulous when you get it done. It's amazing. Another thing I'm working on, I decided I haven't done these Keeper of the Pins. I've had this since it first came out. I love them. I see them everywhere. And I don't know if I had just seen them so much that I was tired of them at the time. That kind of happens to me. If I see one certain thing on Instagram over and over and over, I kind of get sick of it and don't want to stitch it. But I thought about how I wanted to stitch these, and I decided I'm going to stitch them all on one piece of fabric. I'm going to do 36 count fabric, and I just wrote down each picture and what the stitch count was and added it up. It's going to be 76 stitches wide by 200 long. I am going to put space between, so it'll be, you know, longer than 200. And then I'm going to put the red sampler, which, well, it's back here, this sampler on the top. That's going to be number 1. Number 2 is going to be the sewing bird, so that'll be under the sampler. And then this, where's the spool? Oh, this is a, whoops. This is a spool with tomatoes on top of it. And this gal here, since they're narrower, I'm going to put them together under the sewing bird. And then at the very bottom, I will put this one, My Soul is Fed with Needle and Thread. So it'll probably turn out about 4 inches by 11. When then I'll have space in between, and maybe like a row of X's or something to separate each little division. But I ordered fabric for it, so when the fabric comes, I can get started on that. I didn't have a big enough piece of linen to get it started, so I'm going to have to wait till I get some linen. But I think that's all. The only other question I had from last time was Brenda Gervais' instructions for doing pillows with the seam down the back. Let me see if I have one here. I have to have a pillow somewhere with the seam down the back. I think they might be all downstairs. Oh, I should have grabbed one to show you guys. Where are all my pillows? They're downstairs. Anyway, she just, if you want the seam of your pillow to go vertically down the back, all you do is add seam allowance to each end of your backing fabric. Cut out the linen the way you want it around your piece. Like, let's say that's my piece. Then cut the backing fabric the exact same size, except if you want the seam to go vertically, add like 3/8 of an inch over here and 3/8 of an inch over here. So your backing fabric is going to be 3/4 of an inch longer, because you're gonna, what I do is take the backing fabric, fold it in half and find the center and cut down that line and put them right sides together and sew, leave an opening and sew, and then press it so your seam's pressed open and you have an opening in it. And then it should be the same size now as your piece of linen. And you just put the two together, stitch all the way around because you've left an opening in that seam to turn, and then, clip the corners, turn, and stuff it through the opening in the back, and then just stitch up that opening. And it just makes a really nice finish on the back. If I used to do them, leave an opening on the bottom, and it always looked puckery, or it wasn't straight. It would make a curved line when I stitched it after I stuffed it. I could never get it stuffed just like the top. So when I discovered Brenda's way of doing the back with a seam down the middle of it, it really makes a nicer pillow. You don't have a problem with it. I can't believe I don't have a pillow up here. Out of all this stuff, I don't see a single pillow. Huh. Weird. They all must be downstairs. Well, hopefully you understood what I was trying to tell you. Her older patterns are the ones that had the directions in them. And now most of her directions say, finish the pillow in the desired method you choose. Well, her method is always the one I choose, but she doesn't put the instructions in anymore like she used to. So that's all you do, is just add enough to that backing fabric to make a seam allowance. So you just fold it in half and cut it, sew it back together, and then it should be the same size. You can make it an inch bigger on each side as if you want, and then lay your linen on it and cut it to match, however you want to do it. But just make the seam first, then sew all the way around, and you can turn it out through that hole. And it makes it really easy to do, and it looks a lot more professional, at least when I do it, and I don't have a bulging seam somewhere. So I think that is all I had to show you today. Not a very long video, but that's what I've been up to. I'm working on some other stuff. I'm trying to get my patterns made for my tomato name tag that people wanted, and some other little things that I've been working with. So I'll hopefully get those made and show them to you. But in the meantime, I'll try to be back sooner. Winter is always a sit in the chair and stitch for me. I don't like to get up and do anything but stitch. I listen to books on my iPad that I get from the library for free. If you haven't tried the Libby app, it's Libby. It's from your library. You can hook up to your library and you can read books, or you can download audiobooks for free. And you place a hold on them if they're not available. I mean, it's just like the library. So I listen to books on my iPad while I stitch, and man, I can sit there for 8 hours and listen to a book and stitch. It's terrible. It's the same. I love to read, and the trouble with reading is I'll sit in the chair and read for 8 hours and don't get anything else done. So I like doing audiobooks because then I can stitch. And I feel like I'm not wasting time reading. I'm getting something done, but I'm still hearing a book. So that's always fun to do. Well, thanks for watching, and thanks for all the comments from last time. I love to read your comments. They're great. And thanks for coming back and watching, and I will see you in probably 3 or 4 weeks. So bye. Stay warm.